Hello and welcome to the podcast that explores the inner workings of the Heartland's entertainment industries. I'm Brian.
Oh, I'm Lauren.
We have a special guest co-host today. How's it going, Lauren?
Peachy.
So great.
So great. Living the dream, Brian.
I'm so glad that we get to drag you into this world again.
Yeah.
You know,
just plop on in and just go for it.
You should kind of introduce yourself to the audience just one more time, because I know you've been on the show a billion times, but I'd like to just make sure that everybody knows who the crap you are.
Okay.
Before you fulfill your co-hosting duties.
Now I have to remember things that I've done.
So who the crap are you?
Well, my stage name is Lauren Belflower. Pretty much, I sometimes help Brian on this, and then sketches, short films.
You've been in like freaking
a lot,
5 sketches or something like that. Yeah, you've been in the most. I easily.
I stumbled my way through it. 48 Hours was a big one a few years ago. We won that Broad Squad.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! It's Susan.
Just gonna smile. And that's mostly it. That's mostly it. I'm a lazy actress, not into theater as much, but I make eye contact with Brian, sometimes do improv, and here I am.
Well, I think whenever we first met, you were performing at UC. We were both going to UCO.
Yes.
And we met in the lunch line.
Days. Yeah, he was literally the only one, and I was
alone.
You were a loner.
Sad looking.
I think you were eating cereal, really sad, and I had way too much coffee, and I actually talked to you, and I don't normally talk to strangers, but I was like, hey, he looks weird.
Yeah, but it was a coffee-induced sympathy.
It was a coffee-induced, yeah. And yeah, we became friends since then. And
yeah, but whenever we first met, you were performing in Friday Night Live. Is that what it was called?
Just like Saturday Night Live model, where we write sketches and perform it live, and that was a lot of fun. And
so part of that was improv.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for what we're going to be talking about today with our guests, Kyle and Kendan. Welcome to the show, guys. Just imagine there's a massive audience and they're all applauding and there's walk-on music, even though you've been hanging out with us for a bit. But
imagination.
I hear them in my head.
You hear them?
Honestly, I hear people everywhere I go.
So
just everywhere. Constant applause in your ears. I think you might need to go to the doctor. I don't know. Yeah. So the reason, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that there's a keyboard up on stage with us today, and we are going to be talking about musical improv, which is something that you guys do very well, and I watch and I scowl from the shadows of the audience and I judge you silently because I'm like, I can't do it. I cannot pull it off.
To be fair, we judge ourselves.
As you're performing, you're like, this is awful.
But it's happening, yeah.
The first rule of improv is judge.
Yeah. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. That classic improvisational self-loathing.
Don't mock it.
So, first of all, you guys come from OKCI Improv. So I want to just touch on OKCI Improv real quick because I love what you guys do, and I want to help put as many seats in there so I can be like, I'm helping.
Good karma.
So, tell us a little bit about OKCI Improv.
Yeah, so OKCI Improv, basically, we offer classes to learn improvisational comedy as well as performing shows. And so it's kind of like I like to think of it it's like a big umbrella that just offers a stage and a place for people to perform improv and to entertain the audience with improv as well. And on top of that, it also just helps people. Like, we do a really good job of cultivating people to start troops as well, and you can come in and have no idea what comedy even is, go through classes, and next thing you know, you're in like 3 troops
right.
and that are performing in a run or something. So
I just picture you converting Minnie a Scrooge. They're like, I don't even know what comedy is.
Right.
What is this laughter you speak of? Ha 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 ha.
And we taught little Timmy me how to
Right. But it's nice because we have we'll have I mean, I'm just thinking about all the people that have taken improv that would not normally be considered funny. We've had a calculus professor, and I think he's the dean of the college that he works at. He's the dean of the mathematics or something.
Wow.
We've had journalists, we've had engineers. You wouldn't normally think of an engineer just being someone who's absolutely hilarious, but
yeah,
the guy that I'm thinking of is absolutely hilarious, Tyler Swartwood. And so it's funny because I'll always tell people people that you work with have no idea that you even have that kind of brain and that you can be funny, because they're probably very straight laced at work, and then they get on stage and it's making everyone laugh.
Yeah.
And so I love that about OKC Improv. Sure.
Well, and that's one thing that I think is really cool about just improv in general is not only is it fun to watch as an audience member and it's fun to perform as a cast member, but there's also a lot of social skills that are developed through improv that are really, really good. I mean, just being able to break out of your shell and become comfortable with yourself. Is that something that you guys focus on at all with OKC Improv?
Absolutely, because with improv, it kind of, this is kind of weird sounding, but it kind of teaches you social skills in a lot of ways because of the yes and factor, right? So that just means I accept what you say and I add on to it, right? It's just a good conversation technique, right? I say something, you agree with it, you don't just what I say and you add on to it, right?
The non.
I thought that's how I have a conversation.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
And
but that happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you've been in a conversation with someone and it's they're just crapping on your ideas and they're making fun of you, and even if you're just joking around, and it's that's just silly, because that just breeds, even if you think it's funny, it just breeds resentment, and it breeds, it breeds distrust over time and defensiveness. Whereas improv, I think, breeds acceptance and let's talk to each other and let's hang out with each other and let's support each other. Because that's the whole environment of improv. Is acceptance and support.
And that's what I was going to say was typically when you think about improv, because there's different people that take classes, but most of the time people think about that story of I was socially awkward and didn't know how to talk to people, and then I took an improv class, and there's those people. But really, like Kyle was saying, it's not always socially awkward people. We're just at the end of the day, you're also learning how to be a better human being.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is ever taught to support people.
Oh yeah,
just yes people.
It's hard to be a narcissist in improv.
Right. And so you could be the most social butterfly ever, but if you never actually listen to what people are saying and responding to that thing that is being said, you're really not that good of a social person. You're just not awkward at it, but you're still not listening.
Well, and speaking of myself as someone who was socially awkward, I did theater for a long time, and I sort of performed, and I think what I learned with improv was I was performing at people and not performing with people.
Oh man, that's such a great word.
Yeah, and so my thing is and that's I think so. That's when I say it is good for the awkward people, because if you're in an environment where you are accepted and you are supported, how can you not come out of your shell?
Right.
Right. Holy crap. And so for me, that has been the most liberating thing, is being people do like what I have to say, and I don't have to approach, because I did a lot of comedic acting and stuff, and I'd approach all that from a defensive nature, I'm going to show you how funny I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, hey, let's create funny things together.
Right.
And it's going to be really great.
It's kind of that trying to be funny as opposed to making people laugh.
Exactly.
That fine difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just letting the funny happen because life is funny, and because the situations we're going to get ourselves in are going to be funny, and it doesn't have anything to do with I have the wittiest thing to say.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the funniest person in the room. Everyone, get out of my way.
It's congratulations, here's your trophy.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, no, it's funny because I'm in both worlds. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm a hobbyist in both. Let's be honest here. And that's one thing. It's really funny. There is there is definitely a massive difference between the improv guys over here and girls, and then the stand-up guys and girls over here, and the attitude. And there's a few people that are able to cross over, like Jessie Kyle crosses over from like amazingly well. I don't know how she does it and stays sane.
Yeah. No, so before I got into improv, I was doing stand-up comedy, and that's immediately what I noticed as well, was the vast difference of like, oh, this is what comedy is like when it's strongly supported. And that's not like a bad thing, because I still love stand-up and I love doing stand-up, and there's something to be said about that's my joke that I crafted and worked on it, and I got it to be funny the way that I wrote it. It's like the difference between, like, some people like to play singles tennis, and then some people like to be on a full baseball team with a whole team behind them. You know, and there's nothing wrong with the person that likes singles tennis, because they just basically go like, that's me. I won that game and it was all me. You know, but when you're on a baseball team, you're like, we did it. And so that's just what the two worlds are like. It doesn't make one any worse than the other, right? Being able to cross over is a lovely thing. I found, like, when I was doing stand-up and improv together, that I was able to take, like, those improv skills and use it, not like for crowd work, but then also, like, if you tell a joke and you find yourself elaborating on it a little more, and not having to overthink it and things like that. Doesn't make it easy, but you know, but it's just nice. It's a nice skill to have.
Yeah, for sure.
So. When I've dogged on stand-up over the course so far on the podcast.
Hey!
but I actually really respect it. You know, and like, I want to be Twitter. Come beat me up. Right?
You realize our entire audience is made up of nothing but stand-up comedians. They're like, what the shit?
It was nice to know you.
This is the last. But no, like, I have the immense respect, because it's not something I do myself. I obviously perform a lot, but stand up is not like in my toolkit of stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
And I do respect it, and when I watch it in stand up, I do have that respect. So.
Well, I respect what you guys do, because what you guys do is what I consider to be the most difficult forms of improv, which is musical improv. Like, it's one thing to be like, yes, and words and actions, but y'all are creating melodies and lyrics and things that rhyme, and it just makes my brain explode thinking about it. And for the listeners, like, the perfect example of this is whenever you're watching Whose Line Is It Anyway, and Wayne Brady busts out and just, like, starts coming up with a full Elton John, perfectly, you know, structured song,
right?
And he's making it up all on the fly, or is he?
Right.
They get multiple tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the secret of Whose Line Is It Anyway.
Right.
But so we're gonna talk about musical improv. But before we do that, let's kind of go back and set the foundation of the rules of improv. We mentioned yes and. What are some of the other rules?
So we also mentioned, like, no judgment. And anytime I say, like, no judgment, of course it's easy to say, like, no, not judging, like, the things that your partners say or the choices that they make. But I think one of the bigger things of no judgment is also not judging yourself, getting out of your head and just being in the moment and knowing that's the response I gave, that's the response I'm giving, and I have no judgment of myself in that moment.
Yeah.
And just knowing that, like, hey, whatever happens, that I'm going to be supported by other people that are on the stage. So that would be a rule as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like hippie, but it's like, you know, you're perfect just the way you are.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but
While you're on stage. And then once you get on Twitter, you can go straight to hell.
Yeah.
Twitter is where everyone wants to be the worst person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But on stage, I can go back, like, off stage and be like, oh man, I should have done this, and that happens, you know. Wish I would have said this, or oh crap, why did I fuck your move or whatever. But really, when you're on stage, it's like, I can't judge myself, because if I do that, I'm going to shut down. It's not going to be a pretty picture, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, after that, I'd say listen, right? We mentioned that exactly, but listening is so key to improv. Like, if I'm not listening to what you say, I cannot respond to it.
Right. Just staring blankly. What?
Yeah.
But you say that, but you don't realize how hard it is until you like start doing improv, and you're like, oh, I listen terribly. Like,
oh, I'm married. I know.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
So it's classic, and even in conversations, I'll sit there. I still catch myself, even as an improviser trained, I still catch myself like nodding off. It's ADD partially, but like nodding off during a conversation, being like, wait, I'm supposed to be listening to you, right?
Oh yeah.
But I know I've noticed I'm a lot better. Like so a huge part of it's just like focusing and listening to everything they have to say. And listening is auditory, but it's also physical, right? So I'm also listening with my eyes in a way, like watching you, how you move, like because that influences what you're doing in the scene, right? I'll give this example because like one time someone like me, I think it was a fake stage slap. It was obviously not real slap on stage, but it was some sort of like punch or slap, and I didn't really respond to it.
Or your head goes the wrong way.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
But for me, in that moment, someone said like, you didn't really respond to my hit, and I said, oh, it didn't even register at the time.
Right.
You were doing your taxes.
Right.
How's my 401k? But no, those moments are critical to be like, I'm paying attention to everything that you're doing and listening in more than I'm paying attention to myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're my scene partner. You're what's important.
Yeah.
What I do is just like breathing and responding with you.
Listening is one of those skills that, like, in my opinion, like no improviser. I mean, you're constantly working on it, no matter how long you've been improvising, because we're humans and we have two ears, but we're not trained to use them.
Well, it is kind of interesting. Like, I feel like societally, we're kind of a narcissistic society.
Right.
We're individuals and everything, and like this is I feel like a lot of these rules go directly against, what we're kind of
what we do,
what our society tells us to be and do.
Exactly. And so most, like any person doing improv that you absolutely love watching, chances are they probably are just real good at listening. I mean, they're like, if you're like constantly laughing at something, that person's probably listening really well and responding. If it's a game or something that happens on stage, you're like, oh, you called that thing back. It's because they were listening and found the right moment that was a good time to bring that thing back. And so, that's why like listening is super key in improv.
Yeah. Explain what a gift is. Like, for instance, we're getting ready to see some examples of musical improv, and while we're playing these games and stuff, there are things called gifts, and kind of explain what those are.
Yeah, so a gift is anything that I offer to you, like information that I offer. And that could be, like I said, verbal or physical, right? So I can, if I say, Todd, I'm really glad you came to the outdoor barbecue with me today, right? That's a gift because I'm telling you, one, your name is Todd.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm Todd.
How much information?
So whatever Todd means to you,
yes,
you adapt Todd on you.
Todd likes barbecues.
Yeah. Two, we're at a barbecue, so I've set a physical place that we're at. So that is a gift.
And that's also kind of a setup. It can potentially be the setup for a joke that you provide that setup for somebody else to enjoy the punchline.
Exactly, and that's why. That's what gives it the nature of a gift. Yeah. In a world where we have no idea what's going to happen, it's like you literally going, "Here's a present. It's information," because we don't know anything, and the lights have just come up, and we have no idea what's going to happen in this scene. So here's my gift to you. You're Todd, and you like barbecues,
and I'm hell bent on having this barbecue despite the downpour we're having right now.
Yeah. And so, just like a normal gift, it is disrespectful to not use it or to decline that, right? That's where we get into no. You're like, Todd,
let's talk about
my name is Barry. That's,
Barry is a 5-star restaurant.
Right. And so that's basically saying like, I don't want your gift.
And as an audience member, it's jarring too. Because you're like, wait, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
Because you're suddenly breaking a reality.
Yeah.
So what you're saying to the audience and to your scene partner is, I'm not trustworthy. Because I don't accept what you give me. and like I said, the physical thing, like if I'm slapped, like I'm gonna be slapped, right? If I'm holding like a package, you know, in my hand and it's really heavy and I'm like, oh, I've got this package, that's a gift of like an object. And if you grab it and you're like, you know, you just
Right.
response to the physical, how I
the weight.
held it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well,
What are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Either one, you're Superman, or two, you're just a dick. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and even if you go that route of saying like, oh no, my name's not Todd, it's Barry, and even if the audience doesn't understand that like I said no to that, from here on out, like if Kyle's in that scene with me, from here on out, they're going, well, his character doesn't know shit. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't even know what his name is, right? He thought he was at a barbecue. Why should we believe anything else that comes out of his mouth?
Yeah.
It's right up there with like, you know, yes, you can play high on stage, but if you just start playing crazy on stage, why am I watching a crazy person?
Yeah.
Because the minute that you decide to be real and that crazy person just goes, well, because I'm in love with you. You're like, no, you don't. You don't even know what love is. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And so anything that Kyle says, like in that scene now, if he does say like, I just found out that I think I'm in love with this girl, the audience is going, he doesn't even know his name isn't Todd. So it's like, what are you talking about? And it just drops everything. The audience can feel it, the players can feel it.
Right.
About just establishing like trust with your partner and with the audience. Right?
Yeah.
That we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing.
Yes.
You know, and you can find yourselves in rabbit holes if like those gifts get dropped or whatever, and it's fine if it does. Like if it does, you keep going. You don't stop the scene and say, "All right, Kendon, why did you stop this?" Why did you deny my gift?
Hold it.
In front of a live audience.
Yeah.
And but you know we might but then we can get in a rabbit hole of like, well, the whole thing has become about how you don't know your name, you know.
Right.
In that scene, it can get really frustrating, you know.
Yeah.
So we try to obviously avoid that and just come to the stage saying, I'm going to accept it, everything you give, and then the gifts are also a part of that right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the yes part, and it's easy to yes. It's easy to say, your name is Barry. Yes.
Yeah.
Why, yes, it is.
Okay. The and part's important.
Right.
Yeah.
My name is Barry. Yes. I've been an accountant for the past 5 years or whatever. You know.
Right.
You can find a smoother way to say that, obviously, but it's like that and part's super important.
And the wonderful thing about it is you're constantly giving gifts, even if you don't know that you're giving it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it were a situation with the Todd and Barry scene, going back to that, where it's like, no, my name's not Todd, it's Barry, then Kyle or anybody else who's in that scene with me could easily take that as a gift and go, and now all of a sudden I'm the asshole boss that never knows your name. Yeah, whatever, Tyler. You know, that's you, right? And you just like that, I'll take that as a gift too.
Yeah.
Even though you know me, I'm still going to take that as a gift, right?
Yeah.
And so even like when you get into those modes that it's like, oh, the audience just felt everything drop in a no situation, the way that we could lift it back up is simply by accepting. Instead of me going, no, your name is Todd, I'm just going to accept it. I accept it, and I'm going to continue playing that game of the person that doesn't know your name.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, that's what's fun about it, too, is gifts are like all out there in improv.
Yeah.
As spacey as it sounds, like they're just constantly out there. The way you stand, the way you sit in a scene, just to start without words even being said, is like, thank you. That tells me we are going through a divorce.
Right.
You're like, really? I just sat like this. I know. And it made me think so here's what we're doing.
That's what's so cool about this whole thing is like when you're watching an improv show as opposed to like watching a one act play or something like that, it just feels so organic. It's an organism that you're watching on stage.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love watching you guys because it's just so it's just cool. It's like watching magic.
Yeah, Keegan Michael Key talks about the and I felt this before I heard him talk about it, but the fascination of two improvisers communicating with each other while a scene is happening. So the characters are talking, but if you look closely, the two improvisers are having a conversation.
They got a mind meld happening at the same time.
Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, I see what they did.
Yes.
And now they're on the same page. And
One of our mentors, Clint Brazel, back in in the day, he used to talk about this, like, there's like 2 shows going on, right? Like, show 1 is the show the audience is seeing. It's Barry and Todd in a barbecue, right? But show 2 is like the improvisers like trying to make each other laugh and being ornery and like
just screwing with each other. Yeah. So now that we've kind of established the foundation with the rules, yes and gifts, don't say no, all that kind of stuff. I'm reminding you two.
I needed that.
You're welcome.
So let me reiterate the rules that we've established. I know this is day 1 in improv class with these guys. Yes.
Tell me.
I'm always balancing like keeping this going and like referring back to the audience and the listeners of like, okay guys, now here's where we've been. Now let's move on to the next thing. No, so how do we integrate that into musical improv?
So it's interesting on how to integrate that in musical improv, because there's an extra player in musical improv that is easy to forget about, and yet at the same time you're like, how do you forget about it? But it's the musician. Yeah. And you have to yes and what the musician is playing, just like he or she has to yes and what you're about to sing, the feel of a scene. If we're in a love scene together, and we're picking flowers and we're at a picnic, that's not really the time for Kyle to come in with something that's super right.
We're so in love.
That is him going, no, my idea.
Right.
This is what my idea is, right? We do that in our improv scenes, but sometimes, and the audience can feel it, go, whoa, you just know like what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Or you're clearly just pushing your agenda and not letting anyone else build on it. But the same thing can happen like musically. At the same time, if Kyle plays something soft and I end up singing just disgustingly like, I hate you so much, right? Like there's some comedy in that can come out of it, right?
The contrast between the two.
Right.
Extreme.
But then at the same time, it can also be very much like just me knowing like exactly what he's playing. So a musical, in terms of like the rules of yes anding, they're all obviously with you and your scene partner, what you're singing and things like that. But that extra key is the keys. See what I did there. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on. But yes, that extra person is definitely like the key, the musician that is playing.
And it's such a fun relationship between the singer, because there's a lot of, as a pianist, you can easily get a God complex because
yeah, absolutely.
You're like, I control the mood and everything.
Yeah.
And it's important to realize that I'm a player as well. I'm including a lot of stuff into the scene and like the style, the genre, whatever. But it's really important to know that you're one of the team as well. Like, it's important for me to not feel like I'm just another the guy who they have playing piano on stage.
Yeah,
I'm a part of the team, and that so.
Yeah, like in fact, when we taught our last level 3 musical improv class, we got we co-teach it together, and there's a time about the last 2 weeks or so that Kyle just sort of drops out from teaching, and it just becomes like the musician with the group that's creating this made-up musical.
Yeah.
Right. And so he kind of drops out. He'll have notes like maybe at the end, but he's like more focused with being with the students as an extra player in that scene, in that moment. And that's how much like that relationship definitely has to be there.
Yeah, that's
with
so
like
cool.
musicians. Yeah.
So and then so the other component of this is almost just like what I call, it's kind of like a game component.
Mm-hmm.
So we there's the improv stuff, right? Which is like all of the yes anding and building and like, oh, this is the genre we're playing, or this is the mood we're playing. But like song structure is a game of itself. Yeah. Right. So just like we play a lot of short form games, musically and non-musically. All those games have rules, like like this happens, right? Or this is the rule to follow. With musical improv, it's kind of the same. Like, we know kind of generally that songs are structured in a certain way, right?
Right.
You know that there are verses and choruses and bridges and all of those things. And so when we teach our students, we teach them all those things. And we kind of adapt like a very strict, for our classes, we adapt some very strict musical structures. That's not like a thing that happens all over the country. Like, it's just our style.
Right.
It's definitely to be very structured, so that you learn that and then you can break free from that, right? So
Nice.
I'm teaching you, like, okay, it's going to be a chorus and then a verse and then a chorus and a verse and a chorus and a bridge and a chorus and a chorus. And,
Right.
Or if it's like like what we call a tagline song, that's like verse, verse, bridge, verse type thing. And we teach those very strict formats so that they can make things that have some semblance of an actual song.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're playing a short form game, obviously that's super important. In long form, it's also important because it keeps them from just like going off of the wind and making what I call like conversational style songs.
Yeah.
Literally stream of consciousness, like
Yeah.
all my thoughts and
What the crap is he talking about?
Right.
We're doing a duet and it just suddenly sounds like a really bad Les Mis, right?
Yeah.
It's like a conversation.
Well, and it ends up being a song also that lasts forever.
Right.
Because there's
Yeah.
no way to end a song that has no structure.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well, go ahead.
Oh, so we teach that for brevity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they go on, we kind of loosen the reins and we're like, all right, you know the structures are going to help you. So
Right.
You choose to be safe or not, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what are some of the short form games for, like, if they, like, say this is somebody's first experience with musical improv at all? Like, what are some of the short form games that you see, like a solo improviser working with pianist?
So one of the ones that I love is That's Why, or Saddest. And so basically how that game works is you take something that's not conventionally something that's sad, and you always have to end the song by saying, that's why blank makes me sad. So if it's Cake,
Okay.
you start it off and you're just singing, you're telling a story in song about why Cake makes you sad. And so how that basically goes, it's a tagline song, so it's always going to end with, that's why Cake makes me sad. So if you were singing it, it might be like, I was only 3 years old and I had my first birthday. I was only 3 years old. I had my first birthday with my brother Chad, but then he was allergic to cake and he died. And that's why Cake makes me sad, right?
Yeah.
And then like the two other players after that have to top it.
You have to top the sadness.
Yeah.
Saddest, right?
I mean, they're still talking about cake.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so I like that for like someone, especially like when you said like solo, like first time you could go out there and sing a solo. I like that because it's you already have like what that last line is going to be.
Yeah.
You know the direction of this. It's going to be a sad torch song, but it also gets so that's one of the most scary things about a solo is what the hell do I sing? And
Yeah.
so like that's why I'm like if it's like first time doing a solo with a musician, like play that game because it'll get you just getting out there and getting comfortable with your own voice, because at the end of the day, even if I lose where I'm going with this story, I always can end with, that's why Cake makes me sad.
And that's why it makes me sad.
So that's a game that's super structured. So, like it's really easy. So we teach that in our level 1 class.
Okay.
And it's super easy for the students to get and follow, and they latch onto it really quickly.
Because if you got to make it rhyme, you're like, that's why Cake makes me sad. You already know your rhyme line is going to have to rhyme with sad.
Right.
So they're constantly in
man.
the head like Chad.
Even that hate kills my brain.
No, I need to take more vitamins.
Do you-
and like,
Should we? Do you want to give it a try?
I mean, I'll do whatever. I don't know.
Can we give it a try? Is that okay?
Oh man.
Yeah, so what you'll do is you'll just give like one line, whatever that line is. Like if it's, we'll do a different suggestion, but if it's Cake, just make sure that your first line is whatever it is. Like I was just 3 years old. And then that next line needs to set up for sad. So then it would be like,
man, okay.
I was hanging out with my dad.
Okay.
And then that next line, you get to just really like drive in the sadness. But he got hit by a car bringing that cake home, and that's why cake makes me sad, right? Does that make sense? So just make that second line rhyme with add.
See, this is it's already like more cerebral than I'm used to.
Right? I'm like, can I write it out first? I'm a visual learner.
And the funny thing is, like, I have a musical background. Lyrics are the worst part for me to come up with, not just things that rhyme, but like things that like are coherent. Oh man. Okay. All right.
Wonderful. So do you
you're up.
Okay.
Do you want me to do one, and then we can go down the line?
Okay. Let's watch you do one.
So what's something, Lauren? What's something that makes you super overjoyed?
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles. That's why sprinkles makes me sad.
Oh man.
I was just a little clown hanging out with my dad. Then the kids started beating him like a piñata and he died. And that's why sprinkles makes me sad.
Oh my God. Okay.
So whenever you're ready, just jump in.
Okay, wait. So the second line has to rhyme with
Sad.
Okay.
and we're still in sprinkles, and I'm trying to top your.
Yep, just whatever you need.
Just be super dark.
Just be super dark.
Okay. Crap.
But you can start real broad, and then as you get closer,
Narrow
to
it
that
down.
line, you can narrow it down. So,
How did you start
What is
yours?
sprinkles? I said I was just a sad little
I was
clown.
just a sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do sprinkles make you think of?
Okay, what's sad and dark with sprinkles? Brian, songs like sad, mad, glad.
She was a co-host on a podcast. And she didn't know what to sing.
Yeah.
She looked to me and I began to sing.
That's why.
And that's why sprinkles make me sad.
And now we all hate sprinkles. Sorry, guys.
It's really hard not to go into Hugh Jackman lyrical singing
right.
Broadway mode.
Yeah, no, but you did
But if you
great.
do, that's wonderful, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as you don't be Russell Crowe.
Oh God, no! He was
So that's the
so bad.
yeah. That's like the basics of tagline songs / also going into like the kind of basics of like singing a solo, because you get that moment to just sing out. You kind of have an idea of where it's going, and once you run it more, like the students in our class are like, I went home and Googled all the words that rhyme with add, and so it's like sad, bad, Baghdad,
And I brought my thesaurus today.
That would be me. Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. They have it all written. That would be. I would be the student.
Right.
So another game we like to play, and this is kind of more advanced, but it's a game you'll see on Who's Line, and it has different names, but we call it Compilation Album. And so that game they play on Who's Line is a lot. Wayne Brady crushes it every time.
Yeah.
So what we do is, so we do this for our Bit Sing show a lot. There are two hosts, or one. It can be one or two hosts, but there are two hosts, and they banter back and forth, and they get a suggestion from the audience of like an occupation, and then they make a CD compilation album of songs about like whatever, songs about the plumber, right? Songs about the cafeteria worker, and then they just bounce around different genres for the singer or singers to sing in. So it'll be like, all right, if it was like plumbers, it'd be like, oh yes, that great jazz hit, plunge me in or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just start playing. Singer sings. These songs are typically short. We're not trying to make them like full-length songs.
Yeah.
Because we want to do multiple of them.
Right.
And again, that's you're having that communication with the band / musician as well. Like when you say that jazz number, that Broadway hit that's telling the band like, let's make this sound Broadway.
Broadway.
That rock and roll sound, it's like, and even like the more specific you can get, the more the audience loves it. That 50s rock and roll sounds, you're like, oh, that's what it's going to sound like.
Nice.
That AC/DC number, right? So now it's like, oh, it's going to sound like 80s metal, right? So yeah, I love that game, and it's always a fan favorite as well.
So if you guys wanted to demo this, we could easily do this. We could have you guys host it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Sing the songs.
Yeah. All right.
I would love to not sing.
So you guys just have to get an occupation.
Okay.
And then you just like banter back and forth like you're like selling a CD.
Right.
And whenever you're ready for it to be a song, just like say that whatever is the style of music,
Okay.
and then create a song that's built around it.
And be gentle knowing that I'm on a piano.
Right.
Right.
That reminds me of that orchestrated Metallica piece that.
That song that's only played by guitar.
Okay, so let's think. What's a good occupation that we can use?
Well, they already used plumber.
I already used plumber. Oh gosh. See, I start going like super random.
Go random.
do
Okay.
random.
Man. All right. Well, welcome back, and we're here. Talking about our favorite songs from back in the day. Back in the day. Last Wednesday?
Yes. I kind of remember.
It was back in the day. And back in the day, we used to always think about cleaning our cat boxes. You remember cleaning our cat boxes?
I do.
I remember cleaning my cat box.
It was a favorite hobby.
Don't read into it.
Yeah.
This is my favorite song from that Broadway hit, Cat on the Corner.
On the corner. Meow. On the corner. I'm just a little baby cat. I don't know where I'm going now, but I see a corner, and hey, guess what? I'll take a shit. Yep, a shit. Meow. Shit on the corner. Meow. Shit on the corner.
I used to be a puppy cat. But I shit in the street.
On the street.
My owner left me to die on the corner of 8 and now I'm poopy cat.
Meow. Shit on the corner. Meow. Shit on the corner.
Smells like a hit. So that actually kind of is a perfect segue into my next question, which is like, it's one thing to be singing solo, but now you guys are doing harmonies.
Yeah.
And now you're doing it as kind of an ensemble. So let's talk about kind of an ensemble situation musically and how the mechanics of that works.
Yeah, so typically we have a few rules. So with the chorus, for instance, like if Kendon's like making up a chorus, and that's something obviously it's going to be repeated multiple times, like meow,
It's masterful.
Yeah. May we never forget that song.
Yeah. It's going on iTunes.
Right, it is on iTunes.
And people will come up. It's funny because people come up to me and say like, "I remember this song you sang," da, 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 da. And I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I've sang so many improvised songs, but it locks in people's memory.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you've done that, you've done a good like instant songwriting job, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things we do is, so we say like, okay, I'm going to set up this chorus, and so ideally it kind of is easy to follow. Like it's not going to be super complicated, a lot of notes, a lot of words. It'll be, a few words, a few notes. And so Kendan sang that, and now as sitting here with him as a duo, I can pick up with him and sing that pretty instantaneously with him, right? Also, we harmonize with each other all the time.
Yeah.
Not just in improvise, but in singing real songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Real songs, but actually.
Real songs.
But so I can easily do it. But if we were a large ensemble, so if there are 4 of us, or if there are 6 or 8 or 9 of us, you get that many people. The way we kind of work that is like, okay, one person, I'm going to sing the chorus, the whole chorus. So that's typically like maybe 4 lines. We kind of have a 4-line rule. So that's 4 lines of the chorus, and then everyone joins that person. And then sings once the thing's been established and sings with them.
Right.
And then every time we come back to the chorus, we're all going to sing. And then all the verses and bridges and all that kind of stuff, those are going to be like solo moments. So I go and sing 2 or 3 or 4 lines or whatever, and then someone else kind of does.
Yeah.
And then we all sing the chorus again. And then behind that, people could be like oohing or making background vocal type things if they want to do, that, and it's all of course sort of happens very organically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it does help, like working often with the same people and getting very used to them as well. But yeah, I mean, once everyone kind of has an idea, that's why we preach that structure so hard. Is that like once everybody has an idea of the structure, you can go with anybody, perform with anybody. We've performed in a mashup show in New York with different people and different musicians, and because everybody was familiar with different formats, we can all come together and be like, I know what's happening, right?
I was gonna say that sounds terrifying.
It is. I mean, yeah, but yeah, and those are the things that allows us to kind of know where we're going, and support. If you don't know what's happening, all you have to do is kind of just repeat what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, right.
What one person
on the corner.
Right. And that's the thing in all of improv. Definitely musical improv is for me. I do like a lot of word association, and I see where it takes me. I knew, like, even on that, I was like, I hear this song, it sounds like a Fancy Feast commercial or something.
Yeah,
so I just started with meow.
Meow.
No idea where we're gonna go from there.
Yeah.
So it's like on the corner. And then like the first time you hear, you're like, oh my God, that's it. But then when you have someone else joining you, now it becomes, this is the thing. And it's super, we're sealed in with that.
And you guys lock it in like
exactly. We're locked in, and it's, again, it's like normal improv. It's like regular non-musical improv where, like, if someone does something crazy, you're like, that was random. But if everyone else does the crazy thing as well, you're like, oh, it's not that random. That's what everybody in this world does. So yeah,
that's so cool.
The beauty of long form improv, which is what we do when we're not playing games. It's just like we get a suggestion at the top of the show, or maybe a story at the top of the show or something, and then we just run for 20, 25 minutes. And so just the beauty of long form improv without musical is that it's an ensemble. It's an ensemble thing, right? And we're all able to create this organic thing together. But then with music, and one of the things we always say with that is, like, if one person's doing something like, in the corner, it's kind of weird, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One's doing it, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
And so,
we're all on board.
exactly. So as soon as start singing that song, it's gonna be funny, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like all these grown up people.
Right. They're adults.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, when it's your turn to sing a verse or your solo for that verse, we know if that's the chorus of the song, your verse has to be something that's going to tie back to in a corner. So maybe you're singing verse 2 and you become the guy that steps in it,
Right.
And it's like, I'm having a horrible day, but I'm trying to get to work. What is this that I stepped in? It smells horrible. Meow.
On the corner.
And so we use that, like we always say that the chorus is like kind of the anchor of the song.
Yeah.
Because it tells everybody else, like, now when you go up and you sing your solo or your verse, it's going to tie back into meow shit on the corner.
That's so cool. Man, I wish we could talk about this. Like, we could go down this rabbit hole for hours, I feel like. But we're already kind of at the end here. So where can we find you guys? Where can we see a show by you guys?
We're all around. And so but you can definitely go to OKCImprov.com if you see any of those shows are wonderful. For us too, specifically, if you want musical, you're going to want to look up a show called Bitsing. And we also are on the Bitsing also has its own Facebook, so it's facebook.com/Bitsing musical, and we're also all over social medias. And then also another show is After Hours, which is the one that we've gone to New York and performed with. That's myself, Kyle, and Christella. That's on Facebook too. If you look up After Hours Musical Improv, you should run into it. So those are the two shows to kind of look for us musically in. And then of course we have our duo, Kyle and Kendan, which is always creating madness that's not musical, but it's beautiful in its own right.
That's awesome. Well, and one more time, give us, like, if anybody wants to take a class at OKCI, where can they make that happen?
That would be OKCImprov.com, and we have them. We have about 4 sessions throughout a year, and so typically, if you just go on there, it says like when the next round of classes starts, and there's an early bird discount for it as well. We also offer some scholarships for people that I believe are 50 or 60 and older.
Oh, cool!
So we have like Michael. It's a Michael Barlow scholarship from a guy that passed away that started improv like when in his 60s.
Wow.
So they started a scholarship in his name, and so now we kind of pick people out that fill out applications for that. So all of that is at OKCImprov.com.
Well, fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you that are listening, go check them out. Go check out an OKC Improv show sometime. The OKC Improv scene in Oklahoma is shockingly good. Even though it really shouldn't be shocking because like you guys have been around for a long time. But thank you guys.
Yes.
We love you.
Thank you.
And for those of you that are listening that are wondering where can I learn more about this, like all of this kind of stuff, whether it's improv or filmmaking or music or anything, go to okishoshow.com and you can check out some of the original sketches we have over on the sketches tab. You can support what we're doing here at patreon.com/okishoshow. And that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys in the next 2 weeks. All right. Bye.
Okie Show.